All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I've certainly had a good day. Joining me on this video today, we have the Bfree guys. We got Lavaris and we have Greg. Again, my name is Johnny Musgrove. Thanks for tuning in to our offering for today. We're going to just start right off the bat. So, guys, just kind of take over where you want to start for today.
Go ahead, Hop.
Well, today is a very interesting topic. Today's topic is simply saying that forget what they are saying, watch what they're doing. All right. And we're talking about the big institutions, the big financial institutions, the big corporations. The media says one thing, but we look and see that a lot of the corporations, they're doing something, something else, totally different. And we're talking specifically to Bitcoin. And what I mean is that, of course, you see a lot of corporations, they have not jumped in. Well, at least they have not told anybody they jumped in, but yet they're hiring developers for blockchain developers, should I say, because they're understanding that there is something with this blockchain that has to be addressed. You can't just see technology like this, especially in this day and age, and not move. So not only is it in this case, but it's also when it comes to investing in Bitcoin. So, right, Greg, what's your thoughts on that?
Man, I think you hit it. You hit it dead on the head, man. And something else that kind of popped out today that is kind of surprising, but not totally surprising. Mr. Wonderful, Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary himself.
Yes.
He has, went ahead and announced that not only is he doing an about face on all the shit that he's been talking about Bitcoin, he's allocated thus far 3% of his portfolio to Bitcoin. Look,
watch what they do, and not what they say. Come on.
Watch what they do. And that's the key. Watch what they do. They're gonna talk and they're gonna say one thing, and you got to remember, here is an important element at play: the scarcity. Mm-hmm. So when something is valuable and something is scarce, and people recognize the value in it, and they understand the scarcity of it, come on, you got to know people are going to play different games to basically scare the unknowing out of that particular something, regardless as to what it is. In this case, it's Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin, yeah. So that means that
always going to be a lot of, and it's hard for me to say stuff. It's always going to be a lot of shit talk.
Yeah.
That is, designed to inspire people to sell their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Michael Saylor, look, God bless that brother, man, because he is real, and he will tell you flat out, look, I want to buy your Bitcoin. If you want to be scared out of it, I want to buy it. He wants to buy every damn, Satoshi he could possibly acquire.
Yeah.
So forget what they're saying. F what they're saying. The hell with what they're saying.
Yeah.
Watch what they do.
Yeah.
Watch what they do.
Well, and this is all across history. I mean, it's you see it happening. And I love how you said that they instill fear in people, so people don't move, and then they simply move into a supply and demand. So meaning now I'm gonna buy up all the supply, and now that I can control the demand as much as possible. Now, of course, with Bitcoin, it's not so much, but still, if I can hold on to like Elon Musk, $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, I have a nice amount of Bitcoin holdings, right? And so if you have communities and people, individuals that's not buying Bitcoin, and they're simply sitting back on the fence and waiting, saying, well, I don't believe in this. I don't see how this is going to happen. They then try to move when it's $250,000, $300,000 a coin. It makes a big difference of buying then than buying now when it's at 49,000 a coin. So people. Well, yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say people just it's a matter of waking up and not being falling for the okie doke again. this is an opportunity. This is really Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is truly decentralized. So and it puts people in a position to be able to prosper and to be able to literally lift themselves up by their bootstraps and change not only their lives but their family lives.
Now, this is what I'm hearing and what I'm reading and what I'm seeing out here in the media. And when you look at the fluctuation in prices with Bitcoin, right, where it's 58,000, then it's, overnight seemingly, or over the weekend it goes down, right? And I read some things, and it's suggesting that there are a lot of players in this game approaching things from a traditional investor perspective, just like them buying stocks, right? And, or buying real estate. They make their money when they get it at a certain point, right? Price point. And then they're looking for this big swing like we've seen. A guy came in, let's say if he came in 2 months ago and picked up Bitcoin at 30, it hits 58, he sells, right? And let's say he bought several coins, right? There are a lot of investors approaching things like that. So how do you guys feel about investors like that? Because the institutions are really, that's the top of the food chain. They can sit on billions of dollars. It's like they have a little bit more to protect, seemingly, versus someone that's seeing something that's very volatile right now, and it's almost certain, that it's going to go down, it's going to dip, and then it's going to come right back up, right? Not much time elapsing before that happens, right? So what would you say to the people that really see this as a vehicle for them to come up, like you said, pull themselves up from the bootstrap, and maybe they can't, live with that vision of just holding on to it, or maybe they will hold on to it after they make enough money off, juggling this thing, flipping this thing a few times or several times, right? And then they can just park some cash, hold on to their Bitcoins, and ride off into the sunset. So what would you guys say about those type of investors, and what do you see with that market?
You want me to hit this out?
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
So, as we talked about yesterday, it's perspective, and then everybody has a unique, circumstance. For me, for us, because we have other income producing scenarios through Live to Be Free, right? We don't have to chase the buy the dip and sell the peak roller coaster, right? Because that's a balancing act. And while there are people who are successful doing it, there's a higher probability, just statistically speaking, that you're not going to be successful in timing the bottom of the dip and getting out at the top of the peak, right? So that's the statistical probabilities.
Well, all right.
And now here's the other part about that.
Now,
when you do that, you are triggering a tax event. So now you're opening up a whole nother, aspect that you got to be concerned with. And people don't realize that, trading cryptos, buying and selling, cryptos here in the US, the IRS treats that as a tax event.
Profit.
So,
well, do they not treat the same process the same way when you're buying stocks, right? You buy it at a certain point, you sell it. There's So is this like a microcosm? Is it what we're seeing with Bitcoin? Is it more or less a microcosm of society? Is it forever going to be part of even Bitcoin? And the whole process of evolving is people saying, hey, we should have bought this when we should have bought it, right? But now it's doing its thing now. We kind of see how it's working now. We don't have to be so afraid of it now. And let's get out there and kick the tires and drive it around the block and see what we can do. I might not be able to hold on to it for a year or two, right? And I might be willing to take that chance in the market based on the volatility of what I've seen over the last 6 months, and say, hey, I'm gonna try this, right? And how is this would you say this is more risky, right? Or would you say maybe perhaps trading in Forex? I mean, if you had if you're an average person and you're trying to take advantage of opportunities that the market is presenting in Bitcoin, right? And you look at what we see a lot of is this Forex thing, right? Like you said to me once, Forex is trading, it's not investing, right? So is not maybe perhaps Bitcoin, the movements of investing into Bitcoin, watching the dips, watching the peaks, is that not safer? Or would you say for what we see a lot of people doing on the Forex side, I mean, people are trying to decide,
let me answer that question for you, Johnny. What I would say is that we will be anybody that's with any understanding will really be foolish to think that people won't trade Bitcoin. People have been trading gold, and they go continue to trade gold. People is going to trade. That's what they're going to do. So it's to each his own.
Right.
And whether or not it's risky or not, you'll be a fool again to say if something is not as risky as this is not as risky as Forex, because it's all risk. I mean that's what the whole thing is. It's speculative.
Right.
It's a risk. It's a risk to where you do not know what's going to happen. It's all guessing game. I traded Forex, so it's all a guessing game. You wonder if it's going to go up. You got algorithms to show it's going to go down. So that is what it is. So Bitcoin has to be looked at. It's perspective. And Greg said that today. It's perspective. And some people will look at it as this is a great way for me for holdings, for me to actually put some money in to hold it. I'm not trading. I'm not worried about the volatility because that's just normal. Bitcoin will be volatile until it reaches a point to where people see it more so as an asset of holdings than more so as a means of exchange or exchange or like currency for the most part. So, because like gold, you don't see people. Gold is not volatile because gold is not being traded. Gold is not being taken to the stores. Say, give me a bag of chips for 0.002 of gold. So the volatility of it has decreased because of that, right? But there is some fluctuation, so people are trading it. So for us to really say, what people are going to do in the future, if they're going to trade it, or if this is a great route for them to go, if you're just looking for short-term investment, I'm not going to tell anybody that. I'm going to you learn and research what you want to do because, I used to trade the dollar yen, being able to, I had to get an understanding of trading that. There's risk involved in that too, right? So there's risk involved in anything that you do, whether you buy Bitcoin, whether you buy Litecoin, whether you invest in US dollars, treasury bonds, whether you invested in money market accounts, there's risk. It is what it is. So, so I think that people just really have to understand what Bitcoin is, understand the different attributes of Bitcoins, and then they make a decision on how they want to either they want to hold it, or they want to trade it, or they want to just use it for purchases. So.
Yeah. So for everything that we see in the media, Bitcoin is the darling right now. It seems in some degree with media coverage, right? But then on the other side, you see people speaking about, buying, NASDAQ or, doing different things on the investment side. You have just as many people that are speaking about what's true and what they feel is true and what they love, and they're promoting that, right? So how does Bitcoin cut through the mustard and just be not the end all for all, but for some? I mean, how would you surmise that? Any one of you guys can go in on that. I mean, what motivates you to go this route? Was it a process of elimination where you tried different things, or was it? Tell me, guys, what was it for you that made you say, okay, this is it. I'm gonna add this to what I'm doing.
Everything comes back to perspective. Perspective is directly proportional to the information that you have. How informed are you?
That's right.
What is going to, influence your perspective, right? So for me, I'm informed enough to know that as long as I'm not concerned about a short time horizon, based on the information that is available right now, if you want to use the word risk or safe, and I'm not, the financial advisor or anything, but if you want to use those type of terms, Bitcoin is the safest thing available. And it's simply, for me, it's because I understand that there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 300 trillion dollars of institutional capital that is looking for something that is not inflationary. Mm-hmm. Gold has been around forever for all practical purposes, but it's pretty apparent, if you got access to information, it's pretty apparent that gold is now being overtaken by the thought process, by the opinion, the preference for institutional capital is being overtaken by Bitcoin. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
No matter,
I just wanted.
No matter what your opinion, my opinion, none of that really matters. To me, what matters is what is the institutional capital doing, because that's what is going to set the market. That's what's going to help do the price discovery. That's what's going to help lead the charge. We've had, as retailers, we've had our reign, but it's flipped. The crypto market is already flipped. Institutional capital is driving it, right? So again,
on that,
watch what they do.
Yeah, not what they say.